circulate this. It's a rather homemade attendance sheet. So just to pick up on what Nicky is suggesting there, if people can and are interested in leaving their name, email address and phone number, and with a view to getting the discussion going, and perhaps with a view to setting up some kind of major seminar in September is the proposal. So that sheet will go around and hopefully everyone will leave their details. Well, just to say, thanks Aengus for coming over from the Gulf, taking it over. Deputy Aengus Snodaigh, Sinn Féin TD for Dublin South Central. Yep. So I'll hand you over immediately to Aengus.
Apologise for not being here earlier. Once a year, and this is kind of, we'll have an opportunity to see tomorrow kind of how the current batch of TDs will vote, because every single year part of the Offences Against the State Act and the Criminal Justice Act are renewed. And kind of, I think we do have a better crop of TDs this time. I think the numbers who will vote against the renewal will be higher than ever before, so progress has been made. But they're renewed, and these are provisions which were passed in 1999 and 2009, I think, in terms of the Criminal Justice Act. And one of the provisions is repealed, but kind of, there's a 40-minute debate every year, 40 minutes, to decide to suspend what is a human right, kind of the right to a fair trial, the right to have your evidence presented to you, kind of the right to not to be treated differently, because as soon as you go into the special court, immediately you are treated totally different to anybody else who goes before any other court in the land. There's a presumption that you're guilty. And kind of Nicky, kind of the part that I heard, and I've heard Nicky speak before, if you want, he's a better argument than anything else against the special court, because it just shows that even with all of the evidence in your favour, that court is set up to get a conviction. And the attitude of some of them, before I got here, I was the last speaker other than the Minister, but before that, Minister Shane Ross was speaking ahead of me. And his attitude was kind of, how dare us give the same rights to people who are accused of such heinous crimes. Now, you might think that, but in the end of the day, if you have a justice system where everybody's supposed to be equal under the law, you cannot decide before a trial that somebody is guilty. And that's what the special court does. And that the attitude he had today was the very same attitude that attempted in 1939 first to introduce the Offences Against the State Act. That was rejected. The first attempt to introduce the Offences Against the Act was rejected, because at the time people said it is a step too far. But conveniently, the state waited a number of months and introduced it later that year because the Second World War had broken out. And also the state decided that we've had enough of the IRA, we're going to move against them because they're embarrassing us, because the IRA had helped in some incidents Fianna Fáil get to power, and they decided okay, we're in power now, we can turn on the very people who supported us. So if you look at that part of the history where some of this came from, it was a political court for a political purpose. It ensured that from their point of view that there was no excuse for the British to reinvade or attack the state, so that their nice little state that wasn't dragged into a war that we had nothing to do. You then go to the 70s, and the exact same elements were in charge when they introduced, after various bombings in Dublin in the 70s, early 70s, different stages of repressive measures. They reacted straight away, without looking at who caused the emergency. And we all know who were behind the Dublin bombings. But the rules and the repressive measures were not aimed at those who carried out the actions. They were in fact at those who were challenging those actions and who were challenging the British in this society. And continuously, and since then, they have changed them and made them stronger and made them more repressive. And in particular, of late, the operation of the special court with the extra offences against the State Act changes kind of has made it, in their eyes, easier to get convictions. So that sounds good,